Hey guys, it's Andre for the High Performance Academy, and I'm here with Lee from AVO Turbo World in Australia. Now, back 10, 12, maybe even 15 years ago, when I first got interested in cars, AVO Turbo World was the name in all the Australian magazines. You guys were doing all of the turbo modifications and all of the turbo work. Your name was everywhere. Give us a little history on where AVO came from and what you're all about.
Look, AVO, we was opened in 1987, and our first real turbo modifications, we did a sort of full upgrade package, was for the Holden VL Commodore Turbo 3 litre, and obviously today our specialty is Subarus. We started obviously from around about 1992 with the RS Liberty first, and pretty much to the current day we've made product all the way along, and we still have product for all the way back to a 92 if a customer desires. So
you've got a fairly wide range of products as well for all of those cars. Now I know these days you're also multinational pretty much. You've got offices here, there and everywhere. Whereabouts are you based these days?
Okay, well the head office for AVO is still Australia, so we're in Melbourne, but we have our second office is probably our Japanese branch run by my brother Ross Wilson. Then we have our full manufacturing run by my father Terry Wilson, which is in Thailand, and we have a distribution office in America, which looks after our. We have in America the distributions for the wholesale network for the whole of America is done by Turn 14 Distribution, so he just supports them basically with shows and does some retail himself as well. Okay.
How do you go about deciding what products you're going to develop next? So I know that the BRZ or Toyota 86 Scion FRS has been one of your recent developments. What do you look for in a car when you're deciding to make a turbo kit or modify parts for them?
Actually, that's probably a little bit of a hard question, Andre, but we knew the sort of history of the 86 based on the AE86, the popularity of that car, and they still love that car today. So that was sort of, we knew it'd be popular, we thought it'd be a great thing. And also too, I think because we do Subarus, that going to a different platform, being a lightweight two-wheel drive, that it was going to be a fun sort of car. And also with Toyota on board, it sort of also helps the whole thing, because they usually anything Toyota's involved with, it does well.
So the turbo kit you've developed for the BRZ platform is kind of unique with, there's a lot of manufacturers now have produced kits for these cars. Yours is quite unique, and you've used a low mount turbo kit. Could you give us some sort of insight as to why you chose the low mount kit?
Well, for starters, we had our first thought was the oiling system, so we had to sort of come up with a way that we'd be able to do it before we even thought about how we were going to locate the turbo, and we decided on a mechanical pump that runs off the back of the camshaft.
Just to stop you there, with a low mount as well, that will make your life more difficult with the turbo location being low, because you're effectively below the level of the sump. So there's no way there to actually drain the oil directly back into the sump. So that would make your life more difficult, yes?
Much more difficult, so yeah, there's a lot more planning and stuff. Usually these days they use a sort of an electric type pump, but we weren't overly happy with the possible reliability of that sort of scenario, so we sort of found something that we could use, like the mechanical pump, so that sort of allowed us to be able to keep the turbocharger where it is. Also, we're doing it for the fact that the car is the centre of the gravity, low centre of gravity, so it keeps in with the whole sort of handling and the way the car's set up, you know.
With these cars, I mean, obviously they're a naturally aspirated engine, they run high compression, we're up at 12.5 to 1. You've got fuel all around the world that varies in quality, so detonation resistance is going to become an issue when we start pushing some boost pressure into these engines. How have you found it responds to boost pressure in general, and what sort of boost are you running, and what sort of power can you expect out of the engines?
Look, we have a stage 1 and stage 2 kit at the moment. The stage 1 kit runs around about 6 psi, and you're going from around about, on an average dyno, about 105 kilowatts at the wheels to around about 160 kilowatts at the wheels. And on a stage 2 we run around about 8 psi, it goes to about 180 kilowatts at the wheels. We're sort of currently working on a stage 3, but with the stage 3, it's getting to the point where you've got to get it inject. That's around that sort of 10 or 11 psi mark. It's getting to the edge of where it's considered to be very risky for the engine, that is for sure.
Okay, so I mean, those stage 1 and stage 2 results you're mentioning there, that's still a reasonably sizable gain. What's the thought process you go through when you're sizing a turbo for one of these upgrades? Do you go through a range of turbos and test to see what's giving the best response versus power, or do you set yourself a target and just go with that?
Well, we had sort of one other issue you've got to consider when you're doing something like that is what sort of target price you're aiming for the market, and also you've got to make sure it's dead reliable for the customer. So there were actually 2 considerations. And then as far as turbo matching, we've got something that's, well, it's what we call an 18G49, and that's got a like a TDO sort of 5 exhaust wheel with a sort of similar to a Garrett type compressor wheel. So it's sort of perfectly matched for like response and yeah, good boost response, good power. But obviously for the guys in sort of 3 to 4 years that are going to want to do upgrade engines and everything, I would say that it's going to be a perfect opportunity for a turbo upgrade, which we will probably in the next sort of 6 months have an upgrade available as well for those guys that want to run big boost.
So I know you're supplying these turbo kits with the option of a tune and license as part of that package using the Ecotech software package. How do you get on with tuning to suit cars all around the world? Because I understand these kits are being sold quite heavily in the US to the BRZ and FRS market, as well as locally here in Australia. How does that tuning work for you overseas?
Oh, look, the tune, as far as the development goes, there was a lot of time, and there was also like they drove. I'm saying Paul and Ross drove most of America with that car through the mountains and everything like that. So there was an enormous amount of R&D done. So being a map that gets put onto a car that's not like a custom tune, it's obviously something that can be sort of a risk. But we've with the R&D that we've done, we've had good success so far. If anyone of our customers basically has a doubt or anything, what we usually do is ask them to log a file and send it to us, and we can have a look at it and either make a change or just let them know that it is okay and there's nothing to worry about, which is sort of something that we can sort out within 24 hours usually.
Yeah, I suppose that's the beauty of the Ecotech package. It gives you that flexibility to support your customers remotely. Hey, look, I really thank you for taking the time, Lee, to talk to us. The products you guys are producing are definitely first rate. I'm really excited. Obviously, I own an 86 of my own, and the turbo kit development you've done is definitely exciting for me. If anyone out there wants to look at your product range across the world, how can they find your products?
They can either go to AVO Turbo or AVO Turbo World on Facebook, or just our website, which is www.avoturbo.com or avoturboworld.com.
Okay, that's great. Thanks a lot for talking to us, Lee.
Thank you very much.
For online tuning courses, visit learntotune.com.